Roadside Attraction is the 16th episode of Gravity Falls' second season and 36 overall. In it, the Pines decide to go on a road trip to sabotage other tourist traps. Candy and Grenda are coming along. Dipper is trying to get over Wendy again, and shenanigans ensue. It was kind of inevitable given the show was inspired by all these tourist traps that we were going to have an episode like this. On the map of Oregon, we see Gideon's tent crossed out because he's in jail. The note about Oregon says,
Oregon is known for its natural beauty, but, let's be honest guys, trees get boring after a while. That's why man created tourist traps. There's a really big shoe, for example. And the yarn ball is neat. I haven't been there, but I've heard good things.
Stan puts a sticker on the back of their RV saying, "Caution, silver fox at the wheel." For those who don't know, a silver fox is an attractive old person. He also puts it over "I'd rather be fishing" sticker. Mabel thanks again Stan for letting Kenda and Grinda come along on the trip, which is weird because Dipper didn't even know about the trip until Stan told him in the beginning of the episode. Because originally there was a different cold opening with an ice cream man who's quite disturbed, a detective popsicle, you know, the ones with the gumball eyes that never looked right. And setting up for the rest of the episode, Dipper couldn't talk to two girls to lend him some money for the popsicles. And then Stan rolled up with the RV. Also, apparently, they went to the corn maze we see in the episode first. Mabel accidentally knocks over Dipper's Do Not Touch box, which has a bunch of photos of Wendy and his note from Into the Bunker, reiterating from the last episode he's still not completely over Wendy.
Bro, I thought you were finally past all this.
I know. I know she's not interested, and I know it's over, but how do you just turn off the way you feel about someone?
2 words, Dipper. Move on.
Well, that's rich coming from Mabel because Love God showed she didn't fully move on from her crushes. Their first stop is a giant ball of yarn, which is kind of like a big rubber band ball, or the largest community rolled ball of twine, which they unravel. Stan decides to actually be a parental figure and give Dipper okay advice of just talk to people, but then proves why Stan lives alone because he says they're on the road, so just flirt with whoever. Originally, Josh Weinstein wrote a joke they went to the museum of Bob Henneke, a person that no one really knows who he is, and even after the museum still doesn't. A play on how there's usually random museums to people no one really knows, which just kind of makes me think of that one scene from Rat Race where they go to the Barbie museum thinking that it's Barbie like the doll, but then they go there and it's a museum to Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon, but it was cut for time. As well as another trip they went to Neon Leon, where his one rule was do not touch him, but then he proves to be kind of guy you have to enjoy this show in a very specific way. They go to the upside down house and hang upside down via Velcro, and the corn maze, which is open in summer for some reason. Zeus accidentally gets left behind. Originally he was supposed to come across a whole civilization of people who are lost in the maze, but it was cut for time. The scene at Septic Ridge RV Park was inspired by a Goofy movie. At each stop, Dipper flirts with a new girl, which eventually comes and bites him in the ass. And even Candy starts developing a little bit of a crush on Dipper, which was sort of foreshadowed in Love God, but still does come a little bit out of nowhere, given that she's been around Dipper for a while. You would think this would have somewhat came out before. Also, I'm 90% sure I totally forgot to mention this, but Candy's played by show writer Nikki Yang. Most famously plays BMO in Lady Rainicorn in Adventure Time. She's worked on a lot of other shows of similar quality in fandoms like Infinity Train and We Bare Bears. Their final stop is at Mystery Mountain, which is directly inspired by Trees of Mystery in Klamath, California. Probably the most famous tourist trap in the US. It's also home to the giant statue of Paul Bunyan and Babe the Big Blue Ox, Pacific Northwest cultural characters and American folk heroes. You can also see a reference to Paul Bunyan in the intro. He's a giant lumberjack. Stan hits it off with the ticket lady, Darlene, and her cool Dreamcatcher earrings. Stan definitely has a type, curvy older women with big hair that turn out to be demons, with Darlene turning out to be a spider lady. She horrifically rips open her mouth to show her true self, and then her human skin is her new belt. Fire retardant raccoon was originally supposed to be fire retardant bear, but that would have been too obvious as a reference to Smokey the Bear, the anti-forest fire guy. Dipper apologizes to Candy and they go rescue Stan.
Ride like the wind, Skytram!
The two people in this Skytram are references to Alex Hirsch and Rob Renzotti. Alex Hirsch, of course, is the creator of the show I bring up all the time. Rob Renzotti is someone I haven't really talked about. He's a writer, director, and supervisor producer for the first season of the show. He has a long career going back to even the 90s. And most notably, he's the creator of My Life as a Teenage Robot. And he storyboarded on tons of other shows.
We're doomed!
ジョースター家には伝統的な戦いの発想法があってな。逃げる!
They land on top of Old Reliable Geyser, which is a geyser that reliably goes off the same time every time. It is located in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, not Klamath, California. Later away, they crush Darlene under the giant Paul Bunyan. Stan apologizes to Dipper. Dipper apologizes to Candy. It turns out that really was just a road trip crush, and the Mystery Shack gets pranked. And Ford didn't stop them for reasons. Mabel outfit check. She wears this really nice purple sunset sweater with pine trees on it. I like her pine cone earrings, and the skirt and hairband she pairs it with look really nice against it. Our key is Dopper. Our code is Zeus, like a noble golden retriever, eventually found his way homeward and befriended a talking bulldog and sassy cat along the way. This is a direct reference to Homeward Bound, where this happened. The footage is just Zeus standing around the maze, but originally he sent out an SOS saying help, I'm bored. A helicopter sees him, but instead of saving him, gives him a maze. Our pages: Clara McCullen returned all his flowers. Marilyn divorced him after 6 hours, referencing Ida Alhouse. Beatrice slapped him for being a cad, which is the old-timey way of saying Chad. Old Goldie's the best girlfriend Stan ever had. This is often regarded by fans as the worst episode of the entire show, and it's the second lowest rated after Boy Crazy on IMDb. I don't think it's really deserving of it. It was definitely inevitable, given the inspirations for Gravity Falls, we would have an episode like this. And like always, rule of thumb, Gravity Falls is always funny. I think the biggest sin of the episode is it comes way too late in the season. This is literally the last episode before the technically 4-part finale, with Dipper trying to get over Wendy, who is not in the episode for some reason, and all the relationship talk. It feels like a lost season 1 or early season 2 episode, especially given the lack of Ford in the episode, which they retcon in the journals to say that he's working on the dimensional rift or something. But especially after the end of the last episode where they made the anti-Bill force field, it feels so wrong because now we're going on a road trip away from the safe Bill zone. This probably should have just been a ball episode at the shack, or they could have done an actual tribute to Jumanji. But as is, I don't hate this episode like everyone else does, but I do recognize that it isn't the best episode and it definitely comes way too late in the show. Maybe a 5 out of 10, compared to the rest of the series.
We're coming up on an attraction run by the most black-hearted proprietor in all of Oregon. Don't let the face fool you. This woman lit my car on fire on 2 non-consecutive occasions.